Okay, I want to thank KCRT for putting together that nice video. This annual presentation fulfills the charter requirement that the mayor shall make an annual report to the city council as to the conditions and affairs of the city. What follows is just a sampling of what makes Richmond such an interesting and dynamic city. If you don't see your favorite event or program, please understand there are so many, we just couldn't cover them all. I'm having a little trouble with my voice tonight. I hope it holds out, so hang with me. Early in 2019, the City Council had a retreat and discussed the framework for a 5-year strategic plan for the city. The 5 plan areas discussed were governance, finance and leadership, full service and safe communities, environment, health equity and sustainable communities, residential and built environment, economic development, education. These strategic plan areas are used as the section headers for tonight's presentation. I'd like to begin by recognizing my colleagues on the City Council. This past year, our council took on challenges that required bold decisions, some of which we'll cover in the presentation. Even when we disagree, I'm proud to work with all these council members, and I commend them for making important decisions with the best of interests in mind for Richmond residents. This November, the city will hold elections for Districts 1, 5, and 6, with council member incumbents Ben Choi and Melvin Willis presumably running for re-election in Districts 5 and 6. Council member Myrick has told us that he will not run in November, leaving an opening in District 1. After 3 city managers in 1 year, 4 in 2 years, we have our 5th and hopefully our permanent city manager, Laura Snyderman. Laura brings to Richmond nearly 20 years of leadership experience in municipal government, having served in housing and economic development roles in San Carlos and San Mateo, city manager in Half Moon Bay, executive officer for LAFCO in Napa County, and most recently, assistant city manager in Fairfield. In addition to an impressive professional resume, Laura has an equally impressive list of hobbies. In her free time, Laura enjoys hang gliding, hot air ballooning, glider flying, horseback riding, target shooting, sailing, water skiing, and scuba diving. We welcome Laura to Richmond, and we look forward to working with her and hearing about her many great adventures. Before leaving, Steve Falk led the reorganization of our city departments, following best practices and reducing the number of direct reports to the city manager from over 20 down to 9. Several offices like finance, planning, and water resource recovery that used to be known as departments are now called divisions, and they're now housed under new reorganized departments. There are copies of the new organization chart in the back of the room if you'd like to take a copy home with you. These dedicated members of the mayor's office are available all day, every day, to help the people of Richmond. They did a great job putting together what I hope is another successful State of the City presentation. There was never a dull moment this past year in Richmond, and the news was mostly good. Here's my pick of the top 10 news stories of 2019. There are lots of interesting people in Richmond doing really exciting things. We couldn't bring all of them here, but we invited a few as a sample of what residents and community members are doing. When I call your name or group, come up front to be recognized, and eventually I want you to walk by the dais here and let all of us shake your hand and congratulate you. So we have with us tonight members of the 2019 Salesian High School football team who brought home the first football state championship in the history of Richmond. So I'd like for you guys to come up here and
Good job.
congratulations.
Good job, guys.
Congratulations.
Good job.
Good job.
Good job.
Congratulations.
Good job. Big champ. Good job.
Congratulations.
Good job.
Good job. Congratulations.
Good job.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Good job, coach.
Good job, coach.
Good job, coach.
Good job, coach. Thank you. Okay, if you guys will remain standing, we're going to get a good picture of those.
Pretty good.
You have to get on a chair with the camera.
Good assistance, huh?
Ah, let me try that.
Because he doesn't get enough exposure.
Give enough attention as it is. Yeah. Good job, guys.
Okay, so now that we've honored winners on the sports field, we're gonna honor some winners in academia. We have Edwin, Joel, Crystal, and Cynthia here tonight, all from the first cohort of Richmond Promise Scholars, who will be graduating from college this spring. So come on up.
Good job. Good job. Get a picture right here.
Yeah.
Go back here.
Stay up here and get a picture.
One more. Okay.
So folks, this is your Richmond Promise program at work. Okay, now in a somewhat related field, we're going to honor Greg and Alex Zobel, the dynamic duo and co-owners of Armistice Brewing Company.
The brewing company. Where's the beer? Hey, where's the beer? Where's the beer? Come on back for a photo.
Oop, stay up here and get a photo.
See these guys every day.
All right. Willis don't want any beer, I guess, huh?
So now we're gonna segue back to sports, and we're gonna recognize Kalia Dandy Evans, a high school senior and Richmond resident who was featured in the 2020 Rose Bowl parade.
Good job.
Congratulations. And now to close this out with another representation of the beer theme, we're going to recognize Rob Leitner and Chris Coomer. the co-owners of East Brother Beer Company, who won a silver medal at the Great American Beer Festival. Give it up.
Show me the beer.
Congratulations.
You missed out. You don't get the beer.
So, folks, do we have it all here in Richmond or not? Let's give all these folks a big hand.
Is this working? There you go. I'm going to start off.
Okay, thank you. My name is Crystal Carter, and I am a part of the Richmond Promise team here. And I graduated in 2016 from El Cerrito High, and I actually just graduated early from UC Berkeley, double majoring in sociology and African American studies. So being part of the Richmond Promise, their first cohort, it was actually really, really amazing. I had a lot of support, and they exposed me to many different experiences. And I just really am grateful to Jessie and her entire team because they were constantly checking on me, and I really needed it. So I want to say thank you to the whole Richmond Promise, and thank you to Mayor Tom Butt and the whole entire City Council. And if there's any future Richmond Promise scholars in here, I just want to say don't give up. It may seem impossible at the moment, but it's all going to be worth it.
Hello. Hello. My name is Joel Calderon, and I graduated from Richmond High School in 2016, and I'm in my last semester. I'm in my last semester at UC Berkeley, currently studying astrophysics and music. And I just want to say Richmond Promise has really allowed me to have the flexibility to work with some of the students in this community and being able to show them to just contribute to their natural curiosity, basically, in sort of things like science, math, music, and really show them that, you can, have an interest in these things and follow them, and that they're really humbling, and that you can have so much perspective from all these different, sort of educational and academic topics. And I just want to thank the council for recognizing me and all of these people here, and I hope that we as a community continue to support these students in their curiosities and continue to support them in their education and in whatever endeavors that they seek. Thank you.
This is really a great honor, so thank you so much for having us here today. When my brother and I opened Armistice 2.5 years ago, the small owner-operated taproom-oriented brewery was really not a model that you saw in many places. But we decided that's the avenue we wanted to pursue because we feel like when beer does its best work, and of course it does some terrible work too, but when it's doing its best work, it's facilitating conversations, it's making it easier to have a conversation with someone with whom you might not otherwise, it's creating the possibility for a kind of social exchange that's important to communities. And that has easily been the most rewarding part of this project, is seeing neighbors meet each other, sometimes for the first time, and being a third space, a space that's not the workspace or the home space, where people can actually have those kinds of social interactions. So I think we would just like to kick it back to the community. It's only because of the support from the community that we've been able to do this. It's because of the support of the Richmond community that we were able to donate around $17,000 to local nonprofits, including RISE, Family Justice Center, Urban Tilth, Rich City Rides, NIAD, just a lot of great organizations that have been here for a lot longer than we have. And so, yeah, we are just so appreciative of this. Thank you so much.
Hello.
First, I would like to thank my mom and my siblings for pushing me and doing more while lying in my hospital bed many, many times. And thank you to Mayor Tom Butt and to all the council members, even though I know like all of you guys. Thank you for recognizing your very own Richmond kid, I guess you can say, or teenager, me. And it's awesome to be honored by the city we all know and love very much. I appreciate this so much. I would truly appreciate the city helping our Richmond library to help more Richmond kids have better, cleaner, and a safer place to study, to do their homework and learn. My goal is to brighten and enjoy a brighter library to enhance learning, reading, and computer uses for all ages to build Richmond's pride and purpose.
Thank you very much, Mayor Butt and distinguished council members. This is a great honor. Just to echo what everyone has said, it ain't easy running a brewery, as these guys know. So to get a pat on the back every now and then, it means a lot to us. We've been around 3 years now. We just celebrated our 3rd anniversary. Feels like a lot longer than that. It takes me back to a few years prior to opening when we went to Mayor Butt and asked for permission to use the East Brother name, to name ourselves after East Brother Light Station, which we thought, hey, that's a great part of Richmond history, and let's pay respect to that, let's pay homage to that. And plus, we just thought it was a pretty cool name. So thank you for that. We are a production and distribution operation. We also have a tap room, so we distribute out in bars and restaurants and bottle shops and everything. But we also have an on-site tap room like Alex and Gregory at Armistice. And we're out on Canal Boulevard, where it's kind of off the beaten path. It's a pretty lightly trafficked area. We really had no idea, are people actually going to show up? And again, kind of to echo you guys, like, we've been kind of overwhelmed at how many people have shown up. Just the reception that we've had from the community has been amazing. You mentioned a bunch of nonprofits, and it's great because, like, I was thinking, I have a list that is complementary to that. So, like, Richmond Promise was one of the first ones that we had a big fundraiser there. We've done Richmond Museum, Richmond Main Street, Milo Foundation. We have our 4th annual Paws and Pints coming up in about 3 weeks. So come check it out if you like dogs and cats. But it's great. It's like we have this. It's something we didn't expect at all. It's a place where people can get their message out, build awareness about the causes that they believe in, and build community. So there's that sort of broader, benefit that we didn't really anticipate. But at the end of the day, as Alex said, it's about just coming and having a beer. So what is really great for us is seeing a place where people in Richmond and the kind of West Contra Costa to come and have a place to call their own. And not have to drive to Berkeley or Oakland or San Francisco. So part of it is this, we just feel an incredible pride in being here in Richmond. And not only for like the people that live here, but the people who are coming from the greater Bay Area or outside the Bay Area to understand what's going on in Richmond and to bring people here and to see what all the great things that are going on here. And as I said, we distribute, so all our cans and our kegs and our T-shirts and everything say "Made in Richmond." We're so proud about that. We have Pride and Purpose T-shirts. We just got our Pride and Purpose hats in yesterday, and so we're just proud, really proud to be part of this community. We love Richmond. We love being here. We love the people of Richmond. So, go Richmond! Thank you.
You gonna get one more photo? So all of our distinguished guests are helping to put Richmond on the map. The young people are contributing through their academic and extracurricular success. And the brewers are helping out by making really good beer and providing exciting places to hang out. Okay, thanks again, everyone. We'll move on to some other topics now. Without revenue, there's little a city can do. Let's take a look at Richmond's fiscal health. Richmond's financial condition remains stable due to a still hot economy and greater fiscal discipline. But there, the future has little wiggle room, and more work is needed to keep our bottom line safe. This forecast will be updated next month. Our efforts in recent years to balance the general fund budget have been challenging but successful. We have a balanced fiscal year 2019-20 budget, bond rating increase, minimum wage at $15 an hour, and the lowest unemployment rate in Richmond history. Voters also approved a tax increase to offset costs of Kids First, but projections indicate that may be insufficient. After a bond rating reduction in 2015, Richmond's bond ratings are steadily improving, protecting existing debt and making future borrowing less expensive. Our two primary revenue sources, sales and property taxes, continue to grow, but not enough to keep up with city expenses. Utility user tax revenue is flat. One of the benefits, you might say, of our energy conservation efforts. As we move into the future, we're going to have to cut services or find new sources of revenue. The future is going to be challenging due to rising costs of employee compensation and benefits. We are $7.1 million behind our minimum cash reserves target right now, and future budgets face major increases due to rising CalPERS pension and employee benefit costs. Kids First will start showing a revenue deficit as early as 2023. In recent years, we've managed to adjust our fund balance with minor annual surpluses. However, starting in 2021, without major adjustments, the estimated deficits will begin to wipe out our fund balance entirely. Richmond is spending nearly $50 million a year currently for its pension and retiree obligations, 50% more than it was spending 6 years ago, and anticipates another 50% increase in the next 5 years. We have a lot of work to do to keep Richmond fiscally healthy. Funding for Kids First was supposed to be offset by the real estate transfer tax increase, but even with the raised tax, the revenue generated won't be enough to keep it up. In 3 short years, expenses could exceed revenue by millions, eating into other city services. In order to provide more information to the public and increase transparency, Richmond now has an open data portal that you can easily access for important city information. Visit transparentrichmond.org to explore over 300 data sets, visualizations, and other information. Moving on to another topic. Reducing crime and improving public safety continues to be the #1 concern for Richmond residents. In 2019, 93% of community survey respondents ranked, quote, reducing crime and disorder, unquote, as the most important city issue. For the most part, crime rates continue to drop in Richmond. So far this year, 0 homicides. Knock on wood. Homicides remain an intractable challenge, but the trend is promising. We ended 2019 with 17 homicides, the same we ended up with in 2018. Most Bay Area cities our size have only 1 or 2 a year, if any. While we remain in the double digits, I continue to hope for a 0 homicide year. So far, so good. I want to highlight one Richmond Police Department initiative, reducing DUIs. In 2019, Richmond Police made over 200 DUI arrests. 44 of the incidents involved collisions. Last year, the police department received a $235,000 grant to crack down on people driving under the influence. In 2020, be responsible, help keep Richmond safe, and avoid the consequences of a DUI arrest. The Office of Neighborhood Safety is designed to change the lives of those most likely to engage in gun violence. In 2019, ONS completed its 6th 18-month Operation Peacekeeper Fellowship cohort, working with 37 fellows. The program has always had to stand up to criticism and controversy, but it continues to prevent shootings that can lead to more killings, while also mediating the types of conflicts that perpetuate cycles of violence. Many cities across the nation have copied Richmond's model. Even though we call it the fire department, medical emergencies are the main job of these public safety heroes. Richmond continues to be a leader in sustainability and has received many awards for being out front when it comes to climate change and resilience. You can track progress on meeting our Richmond Climate Action Plan goals on the city's website dashboard. We are trending in the right direction, but probably short of our goals. Getting the 15% of opt-outs into MCE and getting more MCE customers to go deep green, 100% renewable energy, would go a long way toward meeting this goal. The post-recession boom is responsible for increasing emissions in transportation. We can do much more to reduce driving, improve the balance between homes and jobs, and encourage people to switch to low-emission vehicles. In December 2019, the City Council reaffirmed its commitment to reducing greenhouse gas emissions by prohibiting the city from purchasing or leasing non-electric vehicles, including hybrids, from auto manufacturers that refuse to support California's vehicle emissions regulations. The ban applies to automakers including, but not limited to, Fiat, Chrysler, General Motors, Hyundai, Kia, Mazda, Nissan Motor Company, Subaru, and Toyota Motor Corporation. The Richmond Community Survey asked residents to identify their commute mode and to rate their ease of use. 60% of our residents drive alone, 18% carpool, 14% use public transit, 3% walk, and 1% bike. Since 2007, all these modes of transportation, except public transit, have seen increased usability. The Climate Action Plan sets a 2030 goal of a 30% increase in transit network coverage, 30% increase in route frequency, and conversion of 50% of routes to bus rapid transit. The city and BART have been discussing ways we can work together to improve the Richmond station. Emissions from the consumption of electricity and natural gas accounted for 38% of the city's 2012 baseline greenhouse gas emissions, 2/3 of which are associated with commercial buildings and industrial use, and 1/3 of which are associated with residential buildings. We have many programs to increase energy efficiency and the use of solar energy. Just last week, the City Council passed a first reading of an ordinance that phases out the use of natural gas in new buildings. The City Council amended our integrated pest management ordinance to ban the use of pesticides on city property and prohibit the sale of products containing glyphosate. Violating the ordinance may result in a misdemeanor and a fine of up to $1,000 per violation. The city received a $5,000 grant from Stonyfield Organic that will be used to buy materials for the organic lawn care project, such as organic fertilizers and lawn seed. The city has gotten nationwide publicity for its recent ban on the storage and handling of coal and petroleum coke. This ordinance phases out existing operations within 3 years. The Bay Area Air Quality Management District is currently monitoring air quality under California Assembly Bill 617 and will focus specifically on coal and pet coke dust in the near future. More about AB 617. The city, in partnership with Groundwork Richmond and environmental consultant Remball, was awarded a grant from the California Air Resources Board to deploy 50 air monitoring sensors throughout our community. The monitors will appear as on the open map as they come online and provide real-time community-level air monitoring, resulting in an action plan to reduce air pollution and exposure. The new open data platform also provides air monitoring for the Chevron refinery, fence line, and the wastewater treatment plant. The Richmond Community Fence Line Program provides historic and real-time information about air quality near the Chevron refinery and 3 community buildings in the North Richmond, Atchison Village, and Point Richmond communities. In June 2019, I attended the Climate Mayors Summit at the U.S. Conference of Mayors' 87th annual meeting in Honolulu. I participated in a panel entitled Navigating City Financial Risk in the Face of Climate Impacts. I also introduced a resolution supporting cities' rights and efforts to mitigate climate change damages and protects taxpayers from related adaptation costs, It was passed unanimously. No one likes getting dumped on, but here in Richmond we continue to be inundated by illegal dumping on streets, sidewalks, vacant lots, and parks every day. This is a problem that seems to be getting worse, and we need to enlist the entire community to help stop this trend. You can do your part by supporting I Heart Richmond, a new initiative to help eliminate illegal dumping in our community. Staff will be rolling out citywide public service announcements about illegal dumping, improving coordination between city departments, and making the reporting and abatement process more efficient. We're also working with the District Attorney's Office to prosecute more illegal dumping citations and offenses in court. By reporting illegal dumping through the Richmond app, you can be eligible to win a cash reward. Another incentive we're excited to announce is our App Ambassador program. To reward residents for using the Richmond app, we will designate one person each month as an App Ambassador. To become the App Ambassador, you'll be the most frequent user of the Richmond app for the entire month. And as a reward, you will receive a $100 gift card to a Richmond business. The very first App Ambassador is Janie Holland, who will be awarded tonight. Come forward, Janie. You can download the Richmond app from the Apple App Store or Google Play Store for free. But you better get out there and work hard if you're going to beat Janie. We don't let her win all those gift certificates, okay? Let's spread the wealth around. Come on up here. Everyone agrees housing and homelessness are among our most pressing challenges, but no subject seems to generate more controversy and division, not only in Richmond, but in the entire Bay Area. We are in the process of transitioning the operation of our public housing assets to private sector managers, and our Section 8 program has already been transferred to the Contra Costa County Housing Authority. This is consistent with HUD policy and will stop our losses while providing better service to tenants. Richmond Housing Authority provides housing for 4,000 people. Unlike the city of Richmond, Contra Costa County has both staff and funding to address homelessness. The county has offered $500,000 for Richmond to establish a safe parking village for homeless individuals living temporarily in vehicles. On tonight's agenda is a resolution authorizing staff to begin planning for this, designating a potential site, and getting us in line to get that $500,000. According to Rent Cafe, the average rent for the Richmond apartment market, which is determined using aggregated data from Richmond and neighboring cities, is currently $2,580. However, we were able to confirm with Rent Cafe data analysts just today that when you disaggregate our rental data from neighboring cities and look at Richmond by itself, rent in our city has actually decreased 8.1% to $2,160 in the last year. This was reported in East Bay Times newspaper in an article yesterday. Keep in mind the next few slides report on Richmond's rent uses. The next few slides report on Richmond rent using the aggregated data available online, but not the data that looks at Richmond solely on its own. Consistent with Rent Cafe, according to Zillow, the median rent in 2019 for the San Francisco, Oakland, Hayward metro area was $3,250 a month. The median rent in Richmond was $2,600 a month, $40 less than the median rent in the state of California. And as I just said, it's actually a lot less than $2,600 a month. With comparatively low rents compared to the rest of the Bay Area, Richmond remains a regional bargain, but it's still too expensive for many. Using the 30% of household income criteria, the $2,600 median rent is over $1,000 more than the median income earner can afford. Rent control can prevent excessive increases, which does not seem to be our problem, but it cannot drive down rents. Only increasing the supply of housing can do that. The Richmond Richmond Rent Program continues to staff up, increase its budget, and provide hefty raises for staff. Starting in 2018, the program geared up their hearings unit to adjudicate rent increases and handle petitions. There's a lot of activity, but we're still waiting for evidence of intended results. The rent program is having trouble collecting fees from covered landlords, with only 77% of fees collected last year. There are now 19,418 rental units that are impacted by the program, most of which are not subject to rent control, only just cause. 87% of termination notices are due to failure to pay rent, which is in fact a just cause. Richmond's residential real estate market continues to lean in favor of sellers. The median home value in Richmond is currently $532,000, considerably more affordable than neighboring cities and a vast majority of the Bay Area. For example, El Cerrito, right next door, is just about $1 million. Home values took a very slight dip in 2019, though the real estate forecast for 2020 estimates a 4% increase in values this year. Increasing values raise tax revenues and translate into improved and expanded city services. After nearly 2 decades of stagnation, new housing construction, including hundreds of affordable units, has taken off, and more is on its way. Unless future developments stall out or get held up, we have a decent chance of meeting our mandated goals for housing needs by 2023. Richmond is a Bay Area leader in providing low-cost housing, and there are nearly 3,300 contractually affordable units in about 25 different multifamily housing developments, most of which are in the downtown and surrounding neighborhoods. The total regional housing needs allocation for Richmond is 2,435 units. The cycle is from 2015 to 2022. There was a modest number of permits issued in 2019, but there are 1,173 units entitled, so we expect the number of permits in 2020 to be much greater. One way existing homeowners have helped boost our housing supplies by building accessory dwelling units. In 2019, 92 accessory dwelling units were approved by the city, a 75% increase over 2018. Accessory dwelling units provide additional housing on single-family parcels, benefiting existing homeowners and renters looking for small and often affordable living spaces. We're on track to meet the schedule on the development settlement agreement for Point Melati. The EIR was released on February 21st, and the public comment period ends April 6th. Opponents who have already filed a lawsuit challenging the Point Melati settlement have doubled down with a notice of intent to circulate a petition for a ballot measure to challenge the Point Melati development plan. Unemployment has been a chronic and pernicious problem in Richmond for decades, but that cycle has been broken. Unemployment rates in Richmond have been dropping for years and reached a historic low of 3% in September and December of 2019. Strong job growth in commercial sectors has helped, but we need to continue focusing on more career opportunities and higher wages. Richmond's unemployment and training department continues to be recognized for its successes. Typically, every person in the graduating class finds a job. Richmond's historic Main Street, McDonald Avenue, is finally at the tipping point of success. In 2019, we celebrated the grand opening of the Richmond Food Hall, home to Red Bay Coffee and Rue, and the grand opening of CoBiz Richmond, a co-working business incubator. The food hall and Co-Biz are both located in the retail space of the BART parking garage. In January this year, we celebrated the grand opening of the Richmond Visitor Center, which is the home of Richmond Main Street Initiative and a new Richmond-themed gift shop managed by Rich City Apparel. It's right at the entrance to the BART station at the plaza. After almost 2 decades with no new hotel projects, one hotel has been approved for development and another is under review. Home 2 Suites, owned by Hilton, will be located on Meeker Avenue, adjacent to CVS, and will feature 102 rooms. Residence Inn by Marriott is proposed to be developed across the town in Hilltop and would feature 104 rooms. Both projects can support Richmond through jobs and can help boost our local economy through tourism. Richmond has also gained new space for healthcare services. Lifelong Medical Care recently opened the William Jenkins Health Center in downtown. The new 33,000 square foot medical center costs $30 million to build and offers pediatric care, primary care for adults, dental services, and urgent care for families. The Lifelong Center is expected to serve 10,000 patients, and Lifelong is only one of 2 local health providers that serve patients regardless of immigration status. The automobile distribution facility at Point Potrero Marine Terminal continues to import approximately 250,000 vehicles annually. Last year, the port also welcomed a new business to the General Warehouse building in historic Shipyard 3. The new tenant, Richmond Grown, will sublease space in the building for cannabis product manufacturers, and the company has committed a $16 million restoration of the building to bring it back to its original 1943 design. The port's obsolete container cranes that used to tower above Terminal 3 were also dismantled and removed in 2019. The past decade has seen a 6-fold increase in the port's operating revenues. In 2019, the port's operating revenue is nearly $10.4 million, and there's still room for expansion. Moving to the commercial sector, Richmond's warehouse market continues to boom. 3 new developments are adding warehouse supply in our city that will be welcome additions to our local economy and workforce. Just last week, Amazon leased the Atlas Road warehouse to expand their operation in Richmond. Due to the development of several new warehouse projects, Richmond's competitive warehouse market is experiencing a slight increase in vacancies and a slight dip in average asking rate. Richmond's warehouse market now has over 7.3 million square feet of leased up. For manufacturing space, rents are up and supplies down. Office rents continue to rise with supply low but steady. The second component of this 5-year strategic plan is education. As the Richmond Promise enters its 4th year, 2020 will see the first cohort of scholars graduate. You just saw a couple of them here tonight. Over the last 3+ years, the Promise has grown to support over 1,200 scholars with $5.4 million scholarship dollars. They are attending over 90 colleges and universities nationwide. 96% are students of color, 70% are first-generation college goers, and 65% are low income. The Promise supported over 2,000 high school students with their college application and the financial aid process by developing a classroom-based financial aid completion program at Kennedy and De Anza High Schools in partnership with the West Contra Costa Unified School District. Reminder, the scholarship application is open and due by March 14th. 70% of Promise scholars persist in college. To continue building on ensuring college success, the Promise partnered with the nonprofit MDRC through the College Promise Success Initiative to develop and refine evidence-based practices to support scholar success. The Promise also partnered with Contra Costa College to launch the first-year experience, tripling the number of scholars enrolled at the college. The Promise built early college awareness for over 800 Richmond students through their Near Peer Ambassador program, connecting current college scholars and with future college scholars so they can share personal experiences. 80 college scholars were employed and trained to help deliver these programs. The Promise successfully hosted over 400 National Promise Movement leaders at PromiseNet 2019 in UC Berkeley. This was done in partnership, again, with Contra Costa Community College District and UC Berkeley. The Promise also launched Career Coffee Chats, their new initiative to connect scholars and alumni to professionals to gain knowledge and build their professional network. Interviews are only expected to last between 20 minutes to an hour, and there's no long-term commitment. On the other hand, the Career Mentorship Program sees scholars, alumni, and mentors meeting in person and virtually to work on career readiness curriculum, including career exploration, resume building, and networking skills. 80 community leaders have stepped up to the challenge so far. Get involved today. We're looking for more mentors. In 2019, the city implemented Kids First by setting up the Department of Children and Youth and establishing a 15-member oversight board. Program planning is proceeding with Y-Plan, Kennedy High School's IT Academy, and the Service Provider Working Group consisting of 27 local organizations and governmental entities. The department also worked with graduate students from UC Berkeley to develop a community needs assessment and strategic investment plan. A request for proposal is now out on the street. Established in 1982, the League of California Cities, the Helen Putman Award for Excellence, is presented to cities that have made unique contributions to their residents and businesses. Contributions that have resulted in lower costs or more effective delivery of services. The Recreation Division is a 2019 awardee for their Camp Achieve program to combat summer learning loss. Tiny Heroes Early Childhood Recreation Program serves kids aged 6 months to 5 years. Kids and their caregivers have access to developmentally appropriate play equipment and games, including arts and crafts, sing-alongs, book readings, and literacy activities. The U.S. Soccer Foundation and Target Foundation awarded community services an in-kind donation of $120,000 last year to construct 2 soccer mini pitches at Wendell Park. Library and Community Services partnered with Rosie the Riveter Trust to provide a free 6-week summer camp for 30 girls in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grades. The camp is designed to build self-esteem, leadership, and physical confidence through an exploration of trades and non-traditional activities, such as welding and carpentry. Attendees participated in field trips to Yosemite National Park and the Pacific Leadership Institute in San Francisco. Rosie's Girls is recruiting now. If you need to know how to sign up, you'll see recruitments at schools, and you can call the mayor's office for information. For the past 5 years, in partnership with Building Blocks for Kids, the city has hosted Summer of Minecraft, training for youths aged 9 through 13, providing technical and citizenship skills. The camp helped to generate a love of computers as powerful tools of creativity and play. Campers would rush to the computers at the beginning of each day, and it was often hard to tear them away at the end of the 2-hour exercise. The IT department was honored with the Spirit of Collaboration Award, recognizing its contribution connecting Richmond youth to the power and fun of STEM education. Mobility is essential for both a healthy economy and a healthy lifestyle. The Richmond Ferry has been riding a wave of success since beginning service in January 2019. The ferry, which makes 6 trips to and from San Francisco per day, averages close to 730 passengers per weekday. In August, the Water Emergency Transportation Authority piloted weekend ferry service at the Richmond terminal, which also proved to be very successful and will be repeated again this year. On average, 536 passengers used the ferry per weekend day. The busiest weekend of all was during Fleet Week, when nearly 2,000 people used the weekend ferry service to enjoy festivities in San Francisco. In total, over 200,000 people used the Richmond Ferry in 2019. On November 16th, we celebrated the grand opening of the Richmond-Sanderfeld Bridge bike pedestrian path. In the first 30 days, over 12 5,000 people biked, jogged, and walked across the 4+ mile path using access points at Castro Street in Richmond and East San Francisco Boulevard in San Rafael. The path is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Reminder, this is a 4-year pilot project. This means we need to use it or lose it. So get on your bikes and get out there and ride. With the opening of the Richmond Ferry in early 2019 and the opening of the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge Bay Trail in November, bicycle and pedestrian traffic through this area has increased dramatically. The Richmond Ferry to Bridge to Greenway Complete Streets Plan provides a community-based improvement plan intended to provide safe, attractive, and convenient connections for all modes of travel. Final plan adoption is scheduled for June. You can view initial concepts and provide feedback by visiting ferry2bridge2greenway.com. In alignment with California's transportation electrification goals, the City of Richmond has become a leader in providing vehicle public charging stations. The Transportation Division provided low-cost paratransit services to more than 300 senior and disabled residents. The new Rapid Lift on-demand service improves ridership and mobility through 40 subsidized trips per month. However, there is a negative fund balance of $2.7 million due to past expenditures exceeding revenue. We're working to reduce this deficit. Richmond's Pavement Condition Index score for 2019 was 64, 3 points below the Bay Area score of 67. Meanwhile, Contra Costa County's score remains steady at 70. While local governments continue to work to improve their pavement condition, aging infrastructure remains a challenge for the region. The condition of Richmond streets is precarious and could get worse without additional funding. Our current 5-year street funding is $30.9 million, as represented by the blue line in the chart. The $2.2 million spike in 2020 is due to a one Bay Area grant. The brown line represents what our funding would have looked like if we did not have the $2 million a year in gas tax revenue, thanks to California Senate Bill 1. There remains a 5-year funding gap of $9.1 million just to maintain conditions, as represented by the yellow line. Without that funding, conditions are predicted to worsen in 2023 and onward. Everyone wants to know the status of their street paving. That information is now available online through the city's open data platform. The map above shows when streets in Richmond were recently paved. Red streets were last repaved toward 2000, and green streets have been repaved since 2015. 24.4% of curb ramps are now ADA compliant. The green dots on the map below represent ADA compliant curb ramps. The pink dots represent non-compliant curb ramps, and the red dots represent no curb ramps. The city performs barrier removal within the public right-of-way in conformance with federal and state laws mandating public access to all public programs and facilities. During the first 6 months of fiscal year 2017-18, 107 sidewalk locations with uplifted sidewalks due to city trees were repaired at a cost of about $800,000. The street maintenance program paves South Harbor Way, South 55th Street, 37th Street, Richmond Parkway, Shane Drive, and many residential streets at a cost of $5 million. The Water Resource Recovery Department secured $22.5 million in Measure WW bonds. The main sewer replacement at Hoffman Boulevard and adjacent neighborhoods was completed. On the right, you can see the main sewer line along 30th Street approaching Barrett Avenue being replaced. The city complied with all baykeeper reporting requirements, including sanitary sewer overflow. Additionally, 113 sewer lateral grants were awarded for a total of $210,000. Encouraging the development of places to go and things to do are important roles of city government that contribute to the quality of life. Over the last 12 years, residents have repeatedly rated Richmond ever higher as being a better place to live, retire, and raise children. Overall quality of life, appearance, and the image of Richmond have also improved dramatically. According to response from the city's biannual community survey, the last edition of which was just completed last year, we are up over 100% in almost every category. In the same community survey, residents identified reducing crime, improving environmental quality, improving the financial stability of the city, building quality, affordable housing, and addressing blighted properties as essential or very important issues to address in the next 2 years. History attracts visitors. Our World War II SS Red Oak Victory celebrated its 75th anniversary last year, drawing in over 5,000 visitors from 45 states and 19 countries. The Rosie Derivative Visitor Center attracted over 50,000 visitors, 3,500 of which were students from 88 schools, proving time and again that we can do it. The documentary, No Time to Waste, celebrates 98-year-old National Park Ranger Betty Reed Soskin's life, work, and urgent mission to restore critical missing chapters of America's history. The film follows her impressive trajectory from kitchen stool in a tiny theater to reaching national and international audiences, relaying the stories of her fascinating personal journey from her experience as a young worker in World War II segregated Union Hall through her multifaceted career as a singer, activist, mother, legislative representative, and park planner. Public art installments continue to beautify our city and create unique gathering spaces. One of our newest public art installations is called Changing Tides, located at the Richmond Ferry Terminal. The Changing Tides sculpture represents the eelgrass along Richmond's shoreline, which contains more eelgrass than anywhere else in the Bay Area. The sculptures are illuminated at night using built-in solar panels, and motion sensors make the sculptures come alive as you interact with it. Richmond Love Your Block is a volunteer-based community beautification program whose mission is to work with residents, volunteers, to revitalize and beautify Richmond one block at a time. Last year, 309 volunteers stepped up and provided almost 800 volunteer hours. Volunteers removed over 2,700 pounds of litter, worked on 23 community projects and workshops, including cleaning up 8 lots and blocks in 3 parks, creating 11 art displays, and painting a total of 1,684 square feet. Richmond's Tool Lending Library continues to be a terrific success. It has steadily grown over the last 3 years with over 600 patrons. We're hoping to hit 800 patrons this year to coincide with our 4-year anniversary in August. We're always looking for volunteers and events to partake in Richmond, so please reach out. The Richmond Senior Center and the Richmond Annex Senior Center continue to provide numerous senior activities and programs throughout the year, including excursions, health and fitness classes, and workshops. The Rise Center continues to create safe spaces grounded in social justice for young people to love, learn, educate, heal, and transform lives and communities. Rise broke ground on Rise Commons, a 45,000 square foot youth and community campus and youth-led health clinic. Rise Commons will become a healing-centered and expanded hub for personal development, play, expression, incubating ideas, performance, art, launching businesses, exploring tech, and connecting with universities and partners, filled with professional, state-of-the-art equipment to help young people achieve their dreams. Community celebrations in Richmond attract tens of thousands of people. Spirit and Soul Festival, Point Richmond Music Festival, Taste of Richmond, Cinco de Mayo, Juneteenth, National Night Out, 3rd of July, and more. The Mayor's Community Fund helps fund dozens of sports and recreational activities for young people. We've distributed over $52,000 in grants and provided $80,000 in startup funds for the GRIP Homeless Warming Center. The overall goal of Richmond's participation in the Government Alliance on Race and Equality is to eradicate racial disproportionalities and encourage and support racial equity in Richmond. A major responsibility of the mayor's office is keeping board and commission membership filled. Just last year, we appointed over 70 people to 24 boards and commissions. Last year, we made big steps to protect residents, particularly young people, from the serious health impacts of menthol, flavored tobacco, and vaping products. In April, a citywide ban on flavored tobacco went into effect, protecting young people from harmful products made to resemble candy. On January 1st of this year, the sale of e-cigarette and vaping products like Juul were officially banned, pending approval from the FDA. Richmond was one of the first cities in the United States to ban the sale of e-cigarette and vaping products. In 2019, the ECIA Community Grant Program continued to provide much-needed support to Richmond organizations. Nearly $500,000 in grant funding was awarded over 20 organizations during the current fiscal year, including organizations that support STEM education, financial literacy, youth recreation and activities, and home ownership programs. Since fiscal year 2016-17, over $2.2 million has been awarded to the community. Lastly, here is my 2020 wish list. If I can get half of it, I'll be a happy mayor. And finally, from Shirley, my wife, Rosie, Arlo, Libby, and myself, we hope you have a great year. Thank you very much.